got screenshot of the actual constitution, and the rights is there depicted in chapter 2, or is that depicted in chapter 2, and we'll try to go and address each and every one of those rights as they are enshrined within the constitution. So for the purposes of housekeeping, if maybe someone has got something to add, we usually raise our hands and make sure that maybe we maintain the flow of the presentation. And if ever maybe there's someone who's having a question, I think it is best to use the same means of being recognized. So let's try to understand what is contained in section 7 of the Constitution under rights. And it reads as follows: this Bill of Rights is the cornerstone of democracy in South Africa. It enshrines the right of all people in our country and affirms the democratic values of human dignity, equality, and freedom. I think these are the three principles that are underlined in the Bill of Rights: the element of human dignity, equality, equality before the law. We can take it as equality before the law. Even not, it cannot be equality in terms of a socio-economic activity, just equality before the law. And then freedom, because these elements will help us in understanding how law is applied in other sections of human discourse. We understand that the element of transformative constitution is to establish or is to contain human dignity in a transformative way, meaning that from one generation to the other, the element of human dignity has to be carried forward. There is no way in which human dignity can come as a second best option. So, in the understanding of rights, every right has to be interpreted or used within the context of human dignity, freedom, and equality before the law. Then we look into section 8. Unless if there are no questions on section 7, we may proceed to section 8 and try to understand the application of the right. If there are no questions, reading the first subsection, the Bill of Rights applies to all law and binds the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary, and all organs of the state. So, understanding the separation of powers in the structuring of the government does not exonerate one organ of governance power from respecting the Bill of Rights, because these are the organs that interact with persons at individual basis or at community level on the context of the law, meaning that we may be subjects of the law that the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive apply on us. Then we look into the second aspect here. They said the provisions of the Bill of Rights binds a natural person or a juristic person if and to the extent that it is applicable, taking into account the nature of the right, and the nature of any duty imposed by the right, meaning that the whole aspect of persons is embodied in the concept of human rights, meaning that the juristic persons do enjoy a certain level of rights which are accorded to them by the very same constitution. Any questions, or if we're still on the same side, we may indicate so that I don't feel like maybe I'm narrating on myself.
Mohadi has a question.
Okay.
Yes, I'm so sorry, Mr. Bongani. Am I audible?
Yes, I do. I do hear you.
I'm a bit confused. Are we on Unit 9 discussing limitations of the fundamental rights or Unit 8? Oh,
Yeah.
Unit 8. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
Hey, sorry. Let me check something here. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Was it Mr. Linda who presented something on Unit 8? Hello? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Bongani.
Yes. I'm having a little bit of the confusion here because the last presenter covered everything that was on his side until chapter 2 of the Constitution. So I was thinking,
From
I
which
was having an
unit?
impression that I'm taking over from where he left. Or is it that I start on a new chapter, which is chapter 9?
I don't know because it was discussed in the group that we're going to be doing chapter Unit 9, which is
This is the
limitations to
Unit
your
9.
fundamental rights. Yeah, in the group, somebody said Unit 9. So I was a bit confused. I thought maybe you were just giving a little brief before getting into Unit
No
9,
problem. No
but it
problem.
turns out you were doing Unit 8. So
Okay. So we can leave that part of Unit 8 and try to do Unit 9.
Unit 9.
Yeah,
I
I was
don't
of the
know.
view
Maybe
that
I don't know. Maybe like other people, other participants are looking forward to attend for Unit 8, but I was just a bit confused because in the group they said Unit 9
this
from
is Unit
7 or
9.
12. Yeah.
Any
Maybe we can like
objections?
hear by hands or something. Maybe people can vote. I don't know.
Okay, maybe we can do like this. Is anyone having a problem with the section 2 or chapter 2 of the Constitution?
Bongani, I see Jabu has a question for you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Lee. It's not really a question. I just wanted to interfere on the question posed by the previous speaker. I think what Bongani was addressing right now was the question that was left outstanding on the last meeting, which was someone asked whether the law of privacy applied in the natural persons and the juristic persons. I think that's what he was addressing, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, but on the study guide, there is a page 182 / page 190, depending on which numbering you are using. It focuses solely on the chapter 2. And I don't recall the last presenter covering this. So I was of the view that I'm starting here, going to the end of the unit. So I will try to address that lady's question regarding the element of privacy. So I'm not sure, shall the presentation be based on chapter 2 or we move to the unit 3, sorry, shall the presentation be based on unit 8, the remaining part of unit 8, or it shall be based on unit 9?
Bongani.
Yeah, we figured like we can't pause. We cannot jump. It's okay. We can just continue with chapter 2 of the Constitution, which is on unit 8, and then we can maybe, if there's still time, we can then jump to unit 9. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Bongani, I think we should just finish unit 8, seeing that the
And-
time ran out last, and then we go to unit 9. Unit 9 isn't a very long long unit, so I think if it'll be fine if you do complete unit 8 first.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. So. So now we understand that the application of the Bill of Rights is not only confined to natural persons, it does cover, it does extend to juristic person in different scope, in different scale and scope, because of the difference between juristic person and natural person. So let's look at the other element here of equality. Why this element is a little bit important is because it treats every person with the same standards. If everyone is equal before the law and has the right to equal protection and the benefits of the law, meaning that there is no element of segregation in the application of the law. The same legal procedures that apply to a person needs to apply to another person fairly and impartial, without taking any prejudice, if I may say. So, why this element is important? Because we understood that during apartheid there was an element of segregation, meaning we looked into the tricameral parliament structure, where people were organized into different races and had different powers in promulgating the laws. So the element of equality treats anyone and everybody with the same measures in the dispensation of the law. So it helps a lot. We can even try to look into the issues like on the law of persons, the legal view on extramarital children has been somehow discriminatory until it was changed. So the element of being equal before the law, it enables the law to view people with the same standards. I'll try to look into the element of human dignity, but I will use a certain court case that was based on the element of human dignity, because this is one of the most important rights, to an extent that its limitation cannot be easily done. There is a case of I think it was 2017 Constitutional Court here, and let me see what I can read here. So this is a 2017 is Daniels versus. I'm not sure if I'm making the good spelling here. It's Daniels versus Scriben, SCRIBANTE and others, the 2017 Constitutional Court case that said it ruled that the occupiers of the land, under the Extension of Security of Tenure Act, had the right to make improvements to their dwellings to meet the minimum human dignity standards, even without the owner's prior consent. So the concept or the right of human dignity gave people who were classified as invaders the right to develop those dwellings to the standards of humanly acceptable living conditions without the consent of the owner of the land. So we're trying to look into how the concept or the right to in a dignified living has been upheld by the court over the right of the owner. I'm not sure if I'm making a myself clear. So everyone has an inherent dignity and the right to have their dignity respected and protected. We had something written there on transformative constitution, meaning which tried to shed light that human dignity is not extended by the state, but is an inherent right obtained by every individual. So the concept of human dignity seems to have a greater weight in legal matters. If maybe there are questions that need to be clarified, or we may. Any questions, or shall I proceed? Okay, we'll move on to right to life. The question of right to life.
Mr. Bongani,
Hello?
sir.
Hello.
I think it's a question, but a suggestion. You remember the other day when we said that you don't really have to go through the whole constitution, but rather focus on the sections that we said we should focus on. Study guide. I don't know if you remember, but honestly, at this point, I think we should focus on Section 9 of the Bill of Rights as well as Section 6 as mentioned in the study guide. And after that, after going through all of those, then focus back on chapter unit 9 of the study guide. Because if we take the time right now and go through chapter 2, the whole of chapter 2, I think the session is going to end without us going time. So I don't know.
Oh, I'm not getting you clear on this one. So you are of the view that the section 2 of the constitution can be done at a later stage, Mr. Jabulani. If you after the later, if we maybe fight a concern, then Mr. Jabulani, you will your. Who was the previous speaker? If maybe you may clarify or for me well what you think is missing on this presentation, so that we.
Nothing is missing, sir. What I was suggesting that we only go through the sections of the Bill of Rights that are mentioned in the study guide. I think we should rather focus on them than focus on all of the sections and then focus back on doing unit.
Because if we
From my
go through
understanding
all
is that the word chapter 2 of the Constitution is the Bill of Rights. From section 7 of the Constitution until section 39, they all
I
fall
do get
under
that.
the Bill of Rights.
I understand, sir, and I do get that. But I don't think we should go through the Constitution, like the whole chapter 2 together. I think it's something that we should do individually. And then if maybe there's somebody who doesn't understand some section, they could just raise their hand, ask a question instead of us going through the whole chapter 2 together in here instead of focusing on unit 9.
Okay, let's hear Mr. Jabulani.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bongani. I actually concur with Ms. Bree because my understanding was that we were initially supposed to start by addressing the outstanding question that was not answered on the last meeting. And then we further continue by starting with our lesson for the day, which is Unit 9. And then where we will be referring to the Constitution, it will be in the instances where certain sections are being implicated in Unit 9. That was my understanding. So in brief, I actually concur with Bree that working on the Bill of Rights as a whole right now, I don't think would be efficient on our side because it's kind of long, and I don't think there's any one of us who doesn't understand the content implicated in chapter 2 of the Bill of Rights. Thank you.
Hi guys. I'm a little lost here. I wasn't part of the previous meeting, so I'm not sure where we should be. Is there anyone who can assist us on where we should pick up, or where should we leave, or should we revisit this meeting on Monday? Yes, Jabu.
Yes, Lee. If my recollection serves me well, I was understanding that we were done actually with Unit 8, but one of our colleagues had a question that they wanted an assistance on, which was to understand whether the right to privacy applied to the natural persons and the juristic persons. Andani even said that that was our homework. We would be dealing with that first thing before doing Unit 9 today. That was my understanding. So with Mr. Bongani handling today's meeting, my understanding was that he was going to first address that outstanding question, and then we go straight to Unit 9. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, you do make sense. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't I can't tell you guys what happened in the last meeting. Yeah, so I do not have an answer because I didn't prepare or went into that, looked into that. So what you want me to do now is Unit 9.
Yes, we can continue to Unit 9 because also that outstanding question was not even targeted to one person. If my recollection serves me well, it was actually for every one of us. We were supposed to discuss our findings on that topic. But obviously, because you were not present on that day, I think we can continue with Unit 9 if everyone is sorted with that topic.
Okay. We're supposed to discuss about the limitations of your fundamental rights. Okay. Why must our rights be limited? Do we know what does that question mean to us? Why must rights be limited? Because a democracy cannot work if all rights can be enforced all the time. So what it means is we can't all have all rights work at one time. So your right and my right can't be run at the same time. So if my personal right of freedom of speech is set first, then I can I'm under correction now. I can't take away your freedom of right. So in a democracy, we cannot all rights can be enforced all the time. So all the rights can't be informed at once. Okay. So everyone's rights are there, but it's there so that we can share the enforcement of them. Okay. Bongani.
Yes, ma'am. I don't know what happened. Maybe the phone was overheating, so it shut itself down. But I'm back now. I wanted to find out what's the best way going forward. Shall we proceed with the remainder of Unit 8, even it may be generic to every member, or we focus to Unit 9? That was the question I wanted to pose to Mr. Nzibane.
Okay.
We are already continuing with Unit 9.
Okay.
Already, yeah, we are continuing with Unit 9.
Okay, no problem.
Do you want to add something, Bongani? Because we just started. I'm still at why must rights be limited?
The limitation of rights, from my understanding, is for the purposes of containing the society to a certain standards of behavior. Because if one individual has got more rights than the other, there wouldn't be an element of equality, maybe in the society. So, limitation of rights is try to neutralize extremism in the application of rights.
Okay. So there will be times where one right will be in conflict with another. So some of the rights contained in the Bill of Rights are limited because of the way which they are formulated or described. Okay, so that is what Bongani just said. Sometimes it is limited because not, as they said, not all rights can be enforced all the time. Okay. Okay, the first one, fair versus unfair discrimination. It is example S9 of the Constitution in the Bill of Rights, right to equality, subsection 3 to subsection 5, unfair discrimination. So I just want to find out, what is your perspective on fair versus unfair discrimination? Guys, anyone? So only unfair discrimination is unconstitutional. So sometimes discrimination can be fair. Why do I say that it can be fair? How can unfair discrimination be unconstitutional sometimes? How can it be unfair discrimination but discrimination may be fair? That makes sense to you. How are we going to, let me read it for you out of the study guide. Where did I get it? Okay, I got it in the study notes. Yes, Jabu. Let me just get my study notes out. I'm listening. Study 5. You can speak. I'm listening.
Sorry about that. Can
No?
you repeat that question, please?
Okay. I want to know fair versus unfair discrimination. Unfair discrimination is unconstitutional, so sometimes discrimination may be fair. How can discrimination be fair? How do you think it can be fair?
It's my understanding that discrimination can be fair if it does not violate someone's dignity or human rights. For example, in the study guide, we were given a case whereby there was, I think, a job opportunity that was given out, but it was only meant for males to apply. And then females felt like it was unfair on their side because they also wanted to work. But because of the job that was intended to be attended, it says on the study guide it was heavy equipment that could only be attended by males. So it was a fair discrimination against the ladies because they were not, that job was out of their capacity. I don't know if I make sense. And then unfair discrimination, obviously, it's when this discrimination violates someone's dignity without a good reason. Do I make sense?
Yes, you do. You actually enlightened me as well. So, because I'm getting confused in my own notes here. Okay. What is the limits on protest actions? What are the limits on protest actions? So what can we say is a limitation of a protest action? Can we have it on any day, anywhere? Do we just do our own thing? We don't follow rules, nothing. What are the limitations on protest actions? Can anyone tell me? Yes, I'm listening. Jabu?
Yes, ma'am. I actually want to refer my answer to the study guide. I don't know if you can help me if you are near your study guide. There's a case where the Christians were said to be protesting against the pro-abortion act or something like that.
Yes.
There we are told that there was a peaceful protest until there were also other people who were agreeing with the abortion act. But to answer your question, the limits of the protest right, the protest must be peaceful, and the people who are in the protest must be unarmed. Also, they must respect the rights of others, and the protest must be regulated by law.
Sorry, I'm just someone's mic is on. Vuyo?
Shit.
Vuyo, your mic is on. Okay, you can go on. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay. The protesters must also refer to the general limitation clause, which is our section 36, as to whether are there any limitations that could be also included in the protest. And lastly, there should also be a police intervention to make sure that there is no violence and there is no any serious danger in the public. That's my understanding.
You are correct. Anyone else who wants to add something or is disagreeing with us? Okay. All right, then right of life versus abortion. That is where you came in with your scenario or explanation you had now. Is it more difficult when two rights are in direct conflict with one another? Will this kind of dispute have to be settled in court? So what I want to know is it difficult to have two rights with one another, and can this be disputed in a court of law? So my question would be, if the right of an abortion is, let's use your example, is used, can a church take it up to the constitutional court or any other court in South Africa and dispute abortion. So if my church is against abortion and the court says the law says we can have abortions in certain scenarios or certain things, I want to find out, do we settle that in court, or do you use a protest, or what can the church do to change or to because I'm struggling to make sense of myself. The right to life versus abortion. Can you have life and abortion? Those two are different from each other. Can you have that? And can it be disputed in a court of law? Andani?
Yes, ma'am, I just wanted to add on what Mr. Jabulani said on a previous question. I don't know if will it be necessary.
Go ahead.
Yes, because I remember I was going through my notes when you asked the question, because I remember it was on the 2nd of April where we had a meeting with Mr. Neke and Mrs. Jacobs, and then I posed this question. So I want to read on how Mr. Nege just answered my question, right?
Okay.
Yes, I asked Mr. Nege to go in regard of the role of the citizens in Unit 7, right? Which speaks of how the citizens must live by the values in the Constitution, including human dignity, equality, non-racialism, non-sexism, and rule of law. Therefore, I asked Mr. Nege to take a look at how in respect of how the citizens at Eastern Cape acted against elected king, who I may allege is a Nigerian person, as the news stated. Therefore, I pose the question that how can communities use constitutional tools, for an example, protest, petitions, courts, to challenge systemic injustices? So the answer by Mr. Nege, he said to me, I've noted it down, he said to me, the right to peaceful assembly is fundamental in a democracy, but it is not absolute. Section 36 allows the state to limit this right only when the limitation is reasonable and justifiable in an open and democratic society. I just thought I should share this answer. Thank you.
Thank you. That is, sorry. That is actually a very good answer. Yeah, I see Bongani has a question for us, or an add-on. Bongani?
Yeah, it's on the question, on the Mr. Jabu's contribution on the Christian Lawyers Association of South Africa versus the Minister of Health. The question here was on the choice of termination of pregnancy, Act 72 of 1996. They considered it to be unconstitutional, and because they used Section 28 of the Constitution as being designed to protect the rights of the child. Unfortunately, that conflict was that the intended protection does not extend to fetus. So I was just making an addition on that.
Okay, yeah, thanks. I just want to add that a fetus, I'm not sure if it's in this module or in PVL, I think it's PVL, that it says a fetus is not seen as a child. So until a fetus has taken its first breath and has lived, they are seen as a legal person. So coming back to the right to life versus abortion, the fetus is not seen as a life yet or as a living entity. So it does not have a legal entity. So that is where it has limitations. Bongani, can you help?
Yeah, there are only 3 conditions where the rights of an unborn child are considered: the maintenance, succession, and fide commissum. So on the aspect of succession, it is assumed that the interest of unborn child needs to be protected by the law, but they apply a concept of nasciturus fiction, portraying the unborn child as a living, as someone whose rights are deferred or certain benefits are deferred until a time of birth. If there is no question of patrimonial interest of unborn child, it remains as a fetus. It does not get illegal protection as a nasciturus concept.
Yes, where are we? Stepped out. Okay, here's something. Let me just go up. I lost it. It says one of the students just said that it can't be it can be disputed in court because it is legalized to have an abortion under certain laws or certain scenarios or events. So yes, it can be disputed in a court, and it if I'm correct, and I do stand under correction, it should go to the constitutional law. Am I right if I say that you go to the constitutional law if you have to fight a law, a case of right and to life versus abortion? And then you go to the constitutional court and then you discuss, you give arguments and why it is according to your religion that abortion is wrong, or and where the other person will argue that abortion in certain cases are better for the child. In Mahodi, I think I mispronounced, but yeah, Mahodi. Okay. What is a state of emergency?
Hello.
What have? Yes, Azande.
No, it's Makadi, ma'am.
No.
Am I audible?
I think
Okay.
to prevent yourself from taking pregnant.
Sorry, I didn't hear your question. Okay, is there anyone with? Okay, here's I think abortion is wrong. There are things you can do to prevent yourself from getting pregnant. Yes, if I have to take a stance on right of life versus abortion, I am against abortion. I should probably be impartial in that, but as studying law, but yeah, I'm pro life and not abortion. Mukhadi?
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes?
Yes, I just wanted to understand something from what you said earlier on, saying that a church or an organization can actually go to court to stand against abortion, right?
Yes.
And you said that they can go to the constitutional court, right?
Yes. Do
But
you agree?
won't that be in I'm just trying to understand, won't that be in construct with the law from the recent constitution that says that abortion in South Africa is governed by the choice of termination of pregnancy in Act 92 of 1996?
Yeah, that's why I stand in, under correction. As far as I know, that I've read up, a church or an organization can go to court, to the constitutional court, and take up a case against the state to have the abortion law be retracted, and it can be amended or things like that. So according to my knowledge, an organization or a church can go to the constitutional law and challenge the state to change or amend the Abortion Act. Does that answer your question?
A bit, it does. But like, how likely do you feel like they would win?
I'm not sure how likely you will win that. Jabulani, do you have something to add?
No, it's a question, ma'am. I wanted to ask. Babalo, what did you say the Constitution says about the abortion? Can you repeat that again, please?
Abortion in South Africa is governed by the choice of termination of pregnancy at the choice. Act 92 of 1990.
Wait, you're so fast, I can't hear you. It's governed by what?
The choice of termination of pregnancy.
Continue.
Act 92 of 1996.
Is
And
it in the same constitution?
When?
Oh, maybe it's wait. I'll check for you, but then like it's a South African law. So I was asking myself if a church or an organization takes okay, let's say for an example, I'm a member of that church and the church find out that I have done an abortion. They take me to court, to constitutional court. How likely is it that they would win the case? Because after all, South Africa has governed the choice of termination of pregnancy during to the act.
Where did you refer that from? Can you give me the reference of that act?
I'll check it out for you in a
Okay,
moment.
no problem. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to quickly check because I'm sure it's in the other. I think it's in the other PVL 1501. It's not in this particular.
Yeah, I think it's not in ILW.
Yeah, I think it is on in the PVL study guide. I don't think it's here, but I will send Jabulani. I'll send you the name and the act and everything to you. Bongani.
Yes, I want to add something on the issue of abortion. The law, I think it states that the question of pregnancy cannot be determined by external factors, external members, because before the pregnancy is delivered, the pregnancy is part of the body of a female, and she has every right to make a choice of what to do with that body. So the consent to carry out abortion does not lie with other parties, either be the church or the alleged boyfriend or whoever. It lies with the lady in question. So if she opts to go for an abortion, the law grants her that right, because at that point in time, the pregnancy is part of her body. It cannot be separated as two separate entities. So that's what makes abortion a little bit controversial.
Yeah, it does make it very controversial, because we all have we are either for abortion or against abortion. So I think it's a personal preference or a personal belief, what your stance is on abortion or life. I think we covered that. I think we have to go on to state of emergency. What is a state of emergency? When does that happen? When can we say a state of emergency is breaking out? How can we say when a state of emergency is implemented? Bongani, do you have a question, or is that an old hand?
It's an old hand. Sorry, it's an old hand.
That's okay. Can anyone tell me what is a state of emergency? Yes, Jabulani. Jabulani, I'm listening.
Hey, the way you're singing out my name today.
Shame, you must excuse, I've got the flu also, so it sounds extra bad this evening.
No, it's okay. It's okay, man. A state of emergency is a special legal situation where a government is allowed to temporarily limit certain rights to deal with a serious crisis. A state of emergency can be declared in a serious threat to life, also when there is war, when there is invasion of intruders, also when there is a disorder or a disaster, such as sicknesses, your floods, and all that. Yeah, I hope I make sense.
You do. A state of emergency was implemented in March of 2020 when we had an outbreak of COVID-19. Then a state of emergency was launched, and we had our borders closed. We had to social distance, all those nice things we had to do. Then that was part of a state of emergency. Okay, hopefully you guys understand that part. Okay, let me just get my notes again. What is a what any other rights have limitations on them? Let me just see here. Okay. Does anyone know the section 37 of the Bill of Rights? Who can help me with the section 37 of the Bill of Rights? It is on page 198. Okay, I'm going to ask who knows the Bill of Rights, who has a copy of it, anything, because I tried to download it, but it does not help. But I want to know what's written in section 37. Bongani, can you help us? Andani?
Yes, ma'am, I'm having the book with me. Can I read the book? Or Bongan, are you going to read it? I'm having the book.
No, you may proceed and read the book because I'm trying to check from the contents here. I cannot go straight to section 37.
Okay, no problem. Section 37 consists of.
Can you repeat the page, please? I'm sorry for that.
Are you referring to the study guide or to the constitutional?
The Constitution. Yes,
Okay.
the Constitution.
Andani, just give us the page number.
Okay, it's from the basic provisions of the Constitution, is page 19.
Okay. Right, you can go ahead.
Jablan, are you okay?
Yeah, you can continue. I'm going to check it. You said page 19, right?
Okay, no problem. Okay, it says section 1 says a state of emergency may be declared. No, it's a subsection. 37 is a section. Subsection 1 says a state of emergency may be declared only in terms of an act of parliament and only when, from a subparagraph, the life of the nation is threatened by war, invasion, general insurrection, disorder, natural disaster, or other public emergency, and the declaration is necessary to restore peace and order. Therefore, subsection 2 says a declaration of a state of emergency and any legislation enacted or other action taken in consequences of that declaration may be effectively only prospectively and for no more than 21 days from the date of the declaration, unless the National Assembly resolves the extent the declaration. The Assembly may extend a declaration of a state of emergency for no more than 3 months at a time. The first extension of the state of emergency must be by a resolution adopted with a supporting vote of a majority of the members of the Assembly. Any subsequent extension must be by a resolution adopted with a supporting vote of at least 60% of the members of the Assembly. A resolution in terms of this paragraph may be adopted only following a public debate in the Assembly. Therefore, going to subsection 3, it says any competent court may decide on the validity of a declaration of a state of emergency, any extension of a declaration of a state of emergency, or any legislation enacted or other action taken in consequence of a declaration of a state of emergency. Therefore, subsection 4 says any legislation enacted in consequence of a declaration of a state of emergency may derogate from the Bill of Rights only to the extent that the derogation is strictly required by the emergency and the legislation is consistent with the Republic's obligations under international law applicable to states of emergency, conforms to subsection 5, and is published in the National Government Gazette as soon as reasonable possible after being enacted. Therefore, the last subsection, which is subsection 5, says no act of parliament that authorizes a declaration of a state of emergency and no legislation enacted or other action taken in consequence of a declaration may permit or authorize indemnifying the state or any person in respect of any unlawful act, any derogation from this section, or any derogation from a section mentioned in column 1 of the table of non-derogable rights to the extent indicated opposite that section in column 3 of the table. Therefore, there's a table there. I don't know whether should I go through the table.
Do you have the constitutional book?
Yes.
Or where did you get it? Sorry. I can't seem to find it.
Oh, the one I'm having is the basic provisions. I got it from my library, a library at high school. So I can say I stole it.
Okay. Now I thought you bought it somewhere. Yeah, I think we all understand what that is. I will try and find a copy of it so that I can send it on the group, because it's things we need to know. So I'm very glad, Andani, that you did
You can
read
even
it.
go check it out on page 191 in the study guide. Everything that Andani was reading is there in the study guide, page 191.
191. Okay, yes.
191.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see. Thank you. Oh, there's the table as well. I didn't see that because then I just want to see something. Okay, yeah. Okay, I see my study guide that's why it's scribbled there yet. Okay, so what is the limitations of fundamental rights in the terms of Section 36 of the Bill of Rights? So it says, law that limits the right must be of general application. It must apply to everyone. Limitations must be reasonable and justifiable in an open and democratic society based on human dignity, equality, and freedom. The question that must be asked: what is the nature of the right? What is the purpose of the limitation, and how important is this person? This purpose. Okay, what is the nature of the limitation, and how much the limitation will it be? Okay, so when we have to ask the questions of when is it a limitation, you must go and ask, what is the nature of that right? What is the purpose of the limitation? How important is this purpose? What is the nature of the limitation? And how much of the limitation will it be? How the limitation and purpose of the limitation relate to one another. And the final question would be, what is the purpose? What could this purpose be achieved in less restrictive ways? So we've got a bunch of questions we ask about the limitations of fundamental rights. So you have to go sit and figure out how the limitation, what is the fundamental limitations, and these questions help you understand that limitation. There must be a good reason for that limitation that is applied. Okay. Is there anyone with a question about Unit 9? Anyone want to add something? Do you have a question? Do you have comments, adding, disagreeing with us? Yes, Azande.
Can you explain horizontal application for me?
Yes.
Can you explain horizontal application?
I can't hear you.
Explain
your question
horizontal
to me.
application. I think she's saying that you must explain to her the horizontal application, ma'am.
Are we still in unit 9?
That's unit 8, I think.
I also think it's unit 8. Let me just see where. Okay. Explain horizontal application, like it's between the state and no. Horizontal application, it means they apply between individuals or private institution. So it is individual, a group of people, or a private institution, and then another individual group of people or private institution. So if you check on page 175 of your study guide, it shows you the vertical application and the horizontal application. Those pictures are probably your best described way. Kondani, I might have just mispronounced that. Do you have a question? Anyone else with a question? Guys, is there anyone else with a question or? Yes, Bongani.
I found out that during a state of emergencies, any declaration of state of emergencies, detention without trial is greatly prohibited. But if we're looking into maybe the Senzo Meyiwa case, it does the accused may have been detained without trial for quite a long time. So it's just one thing that I wanted to add, that in the state of emergency, detention without trial is prohibited.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to quickly find out if you guys want to stop here tonight and then maybe go on when you don't have an extra class. So maybe tomorrow night the same, maybe 8 to 10 or 7 to 9. I will put a post up. Yeah, I also think 7 to about 8:30. I think it suits us all. If not, we will figure something out. I just need, yes, you can speak. Jabulani.
It's just a suggestion. Could we please prepare both unit 10 and maybe half of unit 11 for our next meeting, because I just noticed that unit 10 is quite short.
Yeah,
and
it is.
yeah, and I don't think we could be able to finish both of them at a go, but if possible we can. But it just for preparations, can we prepare up to the half of unit 11 for the next meeting, please?
Yeah. That's not a problem. Let me just quickly check. Yeah, unit 11 is much, okay, it's not that bad.
It's not.
No, it's not. Unit 10 is, what is it, 3-4 pages, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, one. Yeah, it's a little, yeah, it's 5 or 6 pages. But yeah, I think the next meeting is just quickly unit 10, and then we spend most of our time on unit 11. What I do ask is that everyone please go through the unit. If you do not understand, bring us questions and we'll try and help each other. I will then prepare and be ready for you guys for that. Okay. Okay. Okay, someone just sent me the Constitution, the book, so I'm chuffed. Is there someone is on? Queen? Queen? Do you have a question?
Leandra, could you please forward the Constitution in the group, please?
Okay, it was just sent there by Mpumelelo. She just,
Oh, it's already.
he or she, yeah, there is one there. But I saw, if I wanted to print it, it doesn't want to print on my printer. So I'll just double check if this one can print, and then, but yeah, that is one you can have on your phone. Okay. So I just want to find out. So we all happy with 7 to 8:30, maybe on Tuesday, or do you want to do it tomorrow night? Bongani? Anyone? Bongani, do you have a question for us? Okay, here's a Tuesday.
Yes, I do have a question about the
Yes.
limitations of rights as enshrined in Section 36. There is an element called nuisance law. Does the nuisance law apply to the limitation of rights as outlined in Section 36, or is not within the scope of Section 36 on the limitation of rights? The nuisance law. Let me write it down, because there is a case where the neighbors, one was playing music louder. It was for his own enjoyment that the music has to be played that loud, but it was opposed adjacent neighbor that his music is too loud, and it was applied as nuisance law, limiting the level of enjoyment he can use in his property. So I wanted to find something like that.
Okay. I think that is one we have to do some research about, because I think it depends on all the Nuisance law. Yeah, the nuisance, being a nuisance, and that I don't think it falls under the section 36 of the Bill of Rights. I think that is more, I think it has to do with a different one at all over, because it is there to keep everyone in check. So it might fall under that. I'll just have to read up on that, Bongani. Yeah, you want to say something? Are you happy? Okay. So
Yeah. I'm happy. I'm happy. Maybe from just a little bit of reasoning, the example that I was given falls outside the scope of human rights. It is an enjoyment which is not regulated under chapter 2 of the Bill of Rights. Maybe it affects other spheres of society, not necessarily what the Bill of Rights contains. So it is no. I think it will be good unless other students bring different views.
let me go check up on that. Mukhadi also says she concurs with you. Yeah, I don't think it falls under the section 36 of Bill of Rights, but I'll definitely go check it up, read about it, and then I'll come back to you on that next meeting. Okay, is there anyone with a question or something they want to say before we go? Are you all happy? Okay. Right, I think the next meeting will be on Tuesday at 7 to 8:30, so that we can prepare Unit 10 and 11, so that we can finish those two, and then there will be about another lesson maybe on Thursday, so that we can finish until Unit 12, because some of us have not attempted the next assignment. Yeah, I'm still scared, but yeah. Is it compulsory to know the law exactly as it is? Yes. Unfortunately, we can't bend the rules on that one. You have to know. It can't be. Yeah, I must agree. But sometimes we cannot be sure of that because law can be traumatizing. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's any lawyer that knows every law and everything by heart. I think it's just they might ask you in this section of this law, but I don't think they'll ask you all the laws exactly like they're written. Okay. I think that's a night for us. The link will be on YouTube and I will send it to you guys. But thank you for all of you and your participation, and I will see you on Tuesday. Okay. Let me just stop recording.